to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 279 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. I'm your host, Erik Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, how you doing today?
I am tired. So I was on the road today. I don't drive far very often, but I had to drive today. But neither here nor there. I made it back on time, so
Right.
I was ready to go.
That's all that matters.
So fantastic. Great. I was thinking, if you really wanted me to spit hot fire, you could have got me like immediately after the race. That would have been the perfect time. But I'm here. You'll draw it out of me. I have no doubt. So
Yeah, I can usually manage. I'm doing pretty well tonight, James. There are cars on the track at North Wilkesboro right now.
yes, very cool.
The only disappointing thing is that I'm not there. It's very, very disappointing that I'm not there this week. It's been a rough week because we raced at Darlington this weekend, and now it's North Wilkesboro. I was at both those tracks, just in September. And, man, I'm missing it. I wish I was there, especially for North Wilkesboro. It's funny because North Wilkesboro, other than being a track from my childhood, really meant nothing to me. But after being there and experiencing it, now I feel like it's a piece of me, and I'm not there for the All-Star race this weekend, so I'm bummed.
That's right. You left a piece of yourself down there.
I did.
Oh, man.
Probably in skin scraped off on some of the jagged concrete that was laying around and stuff. I'm sure that I left something behind down there.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
It should be a little cleaner this weekend for the folks going out there. So
yeah. Well, it looks a hell of a lot nicer down there tthan it did last time. Holy
it looks
smokes,
so
man.
amazing. Considering and that looked really good when we were there, and it looks so good now. I mean, it's the pictures people are sharing of it in its worst dilapidated state compared to the state it is now. There was a Facebook post today, or I think it was on Twitter too. They had like side by side shots from the exact same angles from then and now, and it's just incredible. I mean, it looks like the reverse of what you usually see. You usually see the track how it used to look, and now how it's decayed, and it's the opposite. It's so awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean it's just awesome to see.
Yeah.
So. I know we're gonna genuflect on it here.
Yeah, we will. We will
later, but
and probably next week too.
We are. I tweeted out right after the race Sunday that I was in my feelings a little bit because we had this awesome race at Kansas. We just left Darlington. Now we're headed to Wilkesboro. It's like we are in like a glorious moment, and I just kind of felt like I needed to share like. This is really special. NASCAR's on a hot streak, and I'm just really, really happy with the sport. And I'm more excited about where we are right now than I've been in a long time, just because of some of the cool things we've got going on. We've got, all these characters going on out there, and great racetracks and great racing. And this is the high moments don't always last forever, and there's normalcy. But right now we are at a peak of NASCAR being on a heater at this current state. So really good times right now.
Just wish the car was better.
Yeah, that's the only, yeah. Well, can't win everything, Erik.
Yeah. Before we head off to North Wilkesboro, though, we got to talk about Darlington, which it's hard. Prior to last year, I mean, there wasn't another place that we glorified more as the history of NASCAR than Darlington, and now Darlington's like the new track compared to North Wilkesboro. But back to Darlington this weekend for Mother's Day weekend. Great racing again. Maybe, I don't know, James, I'm starting to feel like maybe we need to abandon the stage thing, because I kind of feel like they don't. When everybody used to race hard for the stages to get the points at the end, I think now the race doesn't start until stage 3 anymore. Yeah. I think everybody's shifted gears now, and they're used to the stages, and they've learned to race around them, and it's taken the fun out of stage racing. And I mean, the race really kicked off once that third stage started, and then we had a really good show. But up until that point, it just kind of felt like everybody was riding around. Willy B, William Byron, gets himself back in victory lane, third time this season. Gets the win thanks to some other guys cleaning themselves out. First of all, I mean,
Everybody's favorite cartoon character.
Right.
Yeah.
Byron's having that season, man. He's finally having that year, James. I know you've been high on him all along. He's finally clicking this year and living up to expectations, I'd say. 3 wins, most in his career in a season so far, and it's early still. I mean, we're only halfway through the regular season, so...
If you remember last year, Eric, we talked about it a little bit last week, but William Byron was about to win his 3rd race of the season and 1 year ago.
Yeah.
And got dumped by
Right.
Joey Logano. And never really, what's funny is he never really recaptured that magic the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And you think about how good that start of the season was for him last year. He only ended the year with 11 top 10s by the time it was done in the 2 wins. But now, career high in wins in a season. And he's already, inching in on how many laps he led a year ago for the entire season. He's inching closer to those top 10 numbers. He's got more top 5s. So what's funny is I think how many years in a row did I pick him to make the Final 4? Right. And this year I was like, I can't keep picking the same guy. And boy, do I feel dumb because I think we've got 2 real championship contenders who have clearly identified themselves with him and Larson. And he's just really driving, that was a really smart race. He didn't get in trouble. He avoided the bleep show in front of him. But he just, kind of finding a way. He didn't lead, didn't lead a whole bunch of laps. Obviously, he led 7 on the day, but kept it clean, was in there for the stage points quite a bit, and got away with another win, his 3rd win of the year, and his 8th different track. He's never repeated on a track that he's won at before. So, showing some variety there, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it really feels like a breakthrough. Last year I think we got a little taste of it. Now it seems like it's really happening for him.
Yeah, he was kind of the anti Ross Chastain in this race. Mm-hmm. Did everything that Ross Chastain didn't do and got himself a win as a result. James, you said 8th different track, but he's won 7 times in the Cup Series.
I'm sorry, 8, 7. That's what I meant. My apologies. So, seven times he's won, and yes, 7
which
different
is worth pointing out. I mean, it's kind of funny you say 8 because 7 is kind of hard to believe that he's only won 7 races in the Cup Series.
Well, he's been around forever, and I think that's part of the journey with him right now. And he said this post race, he feels like he was given this seat too early.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, I just think it's just maturing as a Cup Series driver. I heard Kyle Petty say this with Nate Ryan, that he told Rick Hendrick, if you want to develop him as a Cup Series driver, give him a Cup Series seat. Don't waver. It will come for this kid.
He said that? Kyle Petty?
Kyle Petty did,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, he's one to listen to.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what Kyle did too, and how'd that work out for him?
Yeah, well, and he brought up the example, but honestly, that's a great point. But he did bring up the example of Joey Logano, and what he was saying. I hadn't really thought about this, but when Joey Logano took over the 20, that's Tony Stewart's seat, right? And that was Tony Stewart's crew, and it was Tony Stewart's crew chief, and it was all Tony Stewart stuff, and he just could never break through there. But when he went to Penske, they built a team around Joey Logano, and you saw him start to flourish, and now he's a 2-time champion. And I think what's happening with William is he took over that seat, and he had, inherited somebody else's team, somebody else's crew chief. Wasn't really his stuff. Now he's combined with his crew chief. He's got Randy Fugle on the box, who he's worked with quite a bit. And it seems like the team he's kind of matured into the team becoming, he's leading the team with Randy a little bit more, I think. Those are, again, I'm stealing a few of these points from Kyle Petty, but I honestly thought that was a really great synopsis of what is really going on here. You're just seeing a really talented driver finally, he's matured into it. He's 25 years old now. He's aged into the role. He started so young. Now he seems to, finally have all of the reps needed to finally push through here and become a serious contender.
Well, I think there's 2 ways that you can go about being a successful Cup Series driver nowadays. There's the, work your way up and excel in each of these series, put your time in the lower series, and then come into the Cup Series. And then there's, jump to the Cup Series quickly and learn there and have the time to develop there
Yes.
and learn. And I think in the long run, you're going to become a better driver that way. Because especially now with this new car, because none of the other cars are anything like it. You don't learn a whole lot you don't learn anything in the Xfinity series from what everybody says for the Cup series at this point, other than, the tracks and how to race around these people, but the cars drive completely different. So, but the problem is that just nobody is willing to give the time. You don't have the money to give the time unless you're a Rick Hendrick and you've got good sponsorship with Exalta and whatnot behind him to be able to give William Byron the time he's needed to gel, and it's worked. But so many other drivers haven't gotten that opportunity. So many other drivers like, Daniel Suarez, for example, even Erik Jones. I mean, these guys that just haven't had a chance to ferment in the Cup series, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that says something for Rick Hendrick and what he's been able to do to develop guys in that.
Yeah.
He's developed people in the Cup series, whereas, Joe Gibbs has developed people in the lower series.
Right. And, I think as well, when you look at the structure of Hendrick Motorsports, you nailed a great point there where you have solid sponsorship, but also you got to think about how Hendrick churns in their talent. And, William Byron comes in with Jimmy Johnson still there. And you've got real stability at the top. And now, you've got champions in Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, and you've got stability with some really great drivers at the top. You can be a little bit more patient with your other two teams that you're trying to get there. And now you're seeing Chase Elliott's, had his injury this year. He's struggling a little bit, had a great finish on Sunday. But you've got William Byron breaking through. You've always got a contender right there. Obviously, Kyle Larson's definitely right there too. But you can be a little bit more patient with guys like William Byron when you've got rock solid stability elsewhere.
Right.
And that's, I think, the problem Stuart Haas is going to inevitably face here with Kevin Harvick leaving. That team's been a rock for that organization for so long, even through good times and through some struggles. But you just kind of look at the opposite end of the spectrum there, and hopefully that adds to my point just a little bit. But yeah, it's really cool to see this whole thing breaking through here.
Yeah. Well, we go from patience to lack thereof.
We had to get to it eventually. We didn't start with it this week.
Yeah.
So I'm at least pleased about that. But let's get into it.
So Ross Chastain is back again this week, causing trouble. Late restart. It was a green-white checker, wasn't it? This last it was the second last restart.
Yeah, I don't think it was a green-white checkered. I think it was getting close to the green-white checkered.
It was close to the end. So Chastain's on the inside, takes the inside. Kyle Larson takes the outside. Which Larson was second at this point because of where they fell at the scoring loop at the caution. And we'll get into all that stuff too.
Yep.
So they go into turn one. Well, they made it to turn three, I guess, right?
No, they went into turns 1 and 2.
You're right. It was 1 and 2. Yeah. That's right. It was 1 and 2.
Yep. And Chastain went to squeeze him, but had a fender too far out in front, I guess, and got hooked. So
I know where you're going to go with this, and I know where I'm going to go with this.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So Chastain blew it, right?
Oh, totally. Yes, 100%. I know what he was trying to do. I don't think he... I want to be careful. I mean, if you want my honest opinion, you saw my tweets, so I guess it's already out there. Ross Chastain doesn't have the ability to do what he tried to do. He's shown that multiple times. The previous restart you mentioned, Erik, Larson did give him the squeeze before the caution came out, but as you could see, they hit a little bit more square and were able to both drive away. Ross just threw it in there like he was I don't know what he was trying to do. I know what he was trying to do, but I know he wasn't going to be able to execute what he was trying to do, I guess. Just really reckless in that current moment. I guess, what did you I know we've chatted about this a little bit. What did you think about the whole that whole maneuver, like, it was just impatience or what? What did you think?
Well, so let me go with it this way. We can agree it was a pretty stupid move, right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Pretty dumb move.
Took you out of it. Took your chance to win and just completely threw it out in the trash.
That being said, when Ross Chastain lined up to the inside of Kyle Larson for the restart with arguably just a few laps left to go, basically the win's on the line.
Yep.
Were you surprised that this happened?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, we all saw it coming, right?
That's right. I think everybody saw it coming. Maybe, gosh, I don't know. The problem is I don't know what Larson was thinking.
Well, see, this is my argument, James, and this is going to go against what I talked about you off the air with, because I wanted to save this for the podcast.
That's fine. Let's
I agree. It was a stupid move. It was a dumb move. It was a dumb move for Kyle Larson to hold it in there on the outside. How do you not think that this kid is going to overdrive it going into the turn?
It's a fair point.
So here's the thing. Ross Chastain gets criticism. You've given him criticism. He's gotten a ton of criticism for racing like a bonehead, early in races, mid-pack, not racing for the win, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was racing for the win. This is when you want him to be aggressive. This is when it's okay to be aggressive. Did he drive over his head? 100%. Yeah, I mean, the wreck was 100% his fault. But if you're Kyle Larson and you're going into turn one with Ross Chastain to the inside of you, don't you think you just let him get in ahead of you and then pull the Earnhardt crossover and pass him coming off at two?
It's a good point, but I just don't know. Maybe Larson's thinking, if he gets out in front clean, I don't know if I can catch him,
The problem is, James, is that, and this is why these two are going to clash, is Kyle Larson is no different than Ross Chastain. Attitude-wise. No, listen, hear me out.
All right, go ahead.
Attitude-wise, the way he races, he doesn't care what other people are doing around him. He is going to make his space. He's going to bulldog his way through there. Listen, I've watched Larson pull moves like this on a dirt track 1,000,000 times. Mm-hmm. He's famous for it. So the difference is that Larson is more clean, fan-friendly, less gruff than Chastain. And yes, he's got the resume to back it up.
Well, and he's also got the skill set to be able to do it.
Well, I mean, where were we the first couple years that Larson was racing? I mean, he was pulling stupid moves. How many races did Larson cost himself racing over his head? How many times did Larson put himself in the wall when he should have won a race?
This is the problem with Ross Chastain versus, and this is why I hate this argument, because everybody's like, well, Joey Logano went through this.
Yeah.
No, he did not. Not to this extent. I mean, there's guys who drive aggressively and make mistakes. The thing with Ross is he has learned zero, zilch, nada, nothing from his mistakes. He just keeps doing it. And his car owner said so this week.
Yeah, but what's Justin Marks going to say?
Well,
Justin Marks can't. Here's the next part of the story. Rick Hendrick gets in the media center after the race, and he's asked about this. And Rick Hendrick basically shoots a warning shot at Chevrolet and says, I know he's a Chevrolet driver, but I don't care if he's a Chevrolet driver. If he's going to wreck my cars, basically we're going to go after him. My guys have full reign. That is just as much a shot at Chevrolet as Ross Chastain. He's telling Chevrolet, look, when we come to the restrictor plate race next time and you guys want me to work with him, we're not going to work with him. It's, of course Justin Marks is going to play cleanup after that. He has to. He can't say Hendrick is Chevrolet. Chevrolet's not leaving Hendrick. Hendrick's not leaving Chevrolet. Chevrolet's going to do anything Hendrick wants him to do and vice versa. So if you're the third tier Chevrolet team, like Justin Marks is, or second tier or whatever, yeah, you're going to play cleanup because you don't want Chevrolet pissed at you.
Sure.
I think when he sits down with Ross, I mean, don't get me wrong. Would Ross Chastain have been better off not to go in that hard into that turn and win the race? Yeah. But here's the thing, James, when you're going into that turn, let's put it this way. If Chastain got ahead of Larson, let's say they didn't make contact, it happened clean. He got ahead of Larson. Who wins that race?
Probably Ross.
Yeah,
because he has the clean air.
Larson's not passing him because of clean air. That's how important this restart was. So I think the problem is not the move. The problem is not the mistake. The problem is that Ross has a lot of these building up. And I get that. I understand that. But I'll go back again. Yeah, it was stupid. Yes, it cost him a win. He would have been better off finishing second than he would finish in. Where'd he end up here? He was in like.
Well, look at I'll filibuster for you. Look what happened at the end of stage 2, with Martin Truex Jr. Just a dumb mistake from a veteran who never drives like that, So I think Ross has got everybody a little crazy,
right?
Honestly,
29th. 29th is where Ross Chastain finished. So second is a lot better than 29th, especially when you're leading the points.
Well, and that's the thing with him, right?
Yeah.
He is fast enough to win races, and the proof is in the pudding, I guess. He is always contending in the stages. He's got a fast race car. The problem with Ross is his mistakes have piled up to the point where he just cannot close, and he's forcing it constantly forcing it.
Yeah.
And he does force it early in the races, but he also forces it when it's late too.
But God, I hope he keeps doing it.
Well, that's the thing, Erik. I like to ride, on the anti-Ross bandwagon, but I do it because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to have a villain.
Yeah.
It's fun to not like somebody because they are rattling everybody up a little bit. What drives me crazy is the comparison to legendary great drivers.
I didn't do it today.
I know. Kyle Petty did.
I didn't do it today.
Yeah, well, Kyle Petty did.
What has Kyle Petty got to do with this?
Thank you. I was trying to lead you into it. He's like, well, Cale Yarborough and Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty, they all had this mentality. They all won. They won a ton. They weren't so reckless that it impeded their Hall of Fame status, their progress. They all collected wins and they collected championships. And as well as I do, Erik, to win a championship in this sport, you have to win races. And right now, yes, he is capable of winning races, but he is not doing it because he does not getting to the finish of these races. He keeps crashing all the time. He keeps wrecking people. And now he's got 37 enemies, 30, you know what I mean? Any given Sunday. And the funniest part of that one of those late race restarts is, he was up there with 3 Hendrick cars. And I think it was Mike Joy who was saying, I don't know what he's going to do. He's got no friends up there with all those Hendrick cars. I'm like, it doesn't matter who's up there. He's got no friends regardless if it's Hendrick or not.
Right. Yeah. Even his own teammate's not his friend.
That's exactly right. So,
So I think my issue with this particular instance, James, and I kind of addressed it, is I think Larson is getting a free pass here because Larson is vanilla. I think that Larson is just as aggressive. And again, he's got the wins, yes. But I think Larson is at fault in this incident as well. To a certain, not 100%, not equal. I mean, maybe
I know, but
maybe 90 to 10%, but Larson is not innocent in this deal.
You're talking about kids in a playground, and the bully punches the little kid in the face because he showed up with his lunch money. You know what I mean? Like, the bully was always going to punch the little kid in the face for the lunch money. He had it in his hand. Larson was going to be there regardless.
If you're Ross Chastain and you're worried about people coming after you, and you're lined up against Kyle Larson, who said multiple times in the media this week that I'm not going to fight anybody. Well, are you worried? I'm not worried. I'd do the same damn thing that Chastain did.
Larson's making a business decision because if I was his size, I wouldn't fight anybody either.
Right.
So, how awesome was it though that Larson stuck his foot in the gas?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. The only thing better was Brandon McReynolds spotting for Chastain.
Still pushing.
Yep.
Still pushing you.
It was pretty good. It was
all the way down the backstretch.
Yeah. I absolutely love this moment. I was a little disappointed at the end of the race ended as clean and quiet as it did because I think this was the moment of the race. And there were, you mentioned the deal with Martin Truex Jr. We had the tire come off of Erik Jones' car. This was a wild third stage here at Darlington.
Yeah, it was.
We had some big wrecks this weekend at Darlington. We haven't had
That-
big ones at Darlington. We had them 2 days in a row here.
That Martin Truex Jr. crash changed the course of this race too.
Oh yeah.
He never recovered from that.
Nope.
And it was Martin. It was really dumb, really, and that's why I think Ross is making everybody crazy because Martin dove it in there and then started screaming at Ross, and I'm like, that actually isn't Ross's fault. Like that one.
He's the intimidator, man. That's what happens.
Oh my god, I can't. I have a buddy right now who we watch basketball and whatnot we text about basketball from time to time, and he's like, you know what, I'm just giving up. I'm just going to be super pro LeBron now. And I'm like, I can't follow you down this road. Then when you do stuff like that, I can't follow you down that path. I can't even.
Well, I will admit
respond.
that half of the reason that I am as much of a Ross Chastain fan as I am is because he
drives me nuts.
Oh,
I understand. I get it. Yeah,
it really has a lot to do with it.
Well, the NFL team I hate the most is the Chicago Bears, and I'd say 25-30% of that is because you like them so much, and that drives me freaking crazy that you can like the team like that. That just they have no morals. They're just terrible. I mean, just terrible people. Yeah, terrible organization. Drives me crazy. And you root for it. Drives me.
Yeah,
drives me even more nuts.
Well, that's you're part of the reason I do that too. So works out.
Well, that's fine. No, it's like I said, man. It's a lot of fun to have Ross around, and he drives me absolutely insane, but it's more fun to have somebody that drives you insane than it is to have people who don't.
Right.
So, although Ross keeps, the other part of the Ross I really like is he keeps making me, more steadfast in my opinions because he keeps proving me right. So I'll take it anytime I can. He's crazy, right? Am I right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Pat myself on the back. I mean, I don't know. I thought, honestly, I will admit this. I thought by this season he'd start fading away. But those cars are still quick. And it's not like Daniel Suarez is doing anything with those cars, but that one car is pretty freaking fast. And he plays a huge role in that because he is fast. He is a fast driver with a fast car. I just wonder, going back to the point that you were talking about with Justin Marks, Erik, of, kind of mending some fences with Chevrolet and some of their sponsors. I wonder, if he's just trying to protect what they've got going.
Right.
Because I don't know how long Trackhouse will be, in this position. Will they fade? Chances are maybe. But who doesn't fade is Hendrick Motorsports. They may have a bad year, but Hendrick Motorsports always finds its way back to the top. So
I don't know. I think at this point, if they haven't faded yet, I think Trackhouse
they got the new car figured out.
Yeah,
they got the new car. They got a good grasp on the new car. They've got big plans.
Yeah.
It's tough, man, because you see a lot of these other 2-car, 3-car teams trying to make a push into their space. Nobody has really claimed it yet. RFK is trying to get there. Like, they are inching their way there, but Trackhouse is still pretty solid. They're one of the top teams in the sport right now.
This was down later in the notes, but I want to bring it up now because we're talking about this situation. Revenge, James. Revenge in NASCAR.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of talk in the media center this week about revenge and when, whether you should do it on the track or off the track. A lot of drivers feel you need to take it out on pit road, go take a swing, whatever. Harvick said this week that he thinks you should do it on the racetrack because he said if there's a fight in the cars tour, you're getting thrown out of the track. And, he'd rather you handle it on the track and not with fists in the garage or in the pits. So what's your thought on this? First of all, where do you think we should handle this? Where should these drivers take out their aggression? Where should these drivers get even? And what is more beneficial for them in the long run?
I think, this is, I've always been, don't use your car as the weapon. Pit road being one of those places.
Right. Well, yeah, I would agree 100%.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And, we've seen, speaking of a guy who showed back up this week, we've seen Carl Edwards hooking guys, specifically Brad Keselowski a handful of times, and really scary moments, like a few times. I don't like using the car as much. Now, if you can, you stick somebody in the wall and drive away, that's one thing. I'd rather see these guys grab each other by the collar and throw down for 30 seconons. But the thing with these drivers is there's a lot of talk.
Right.
Who said, was that Denny Hamlin who said that, or was that Harvick? I think Harvick said it.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Harvick said a lot of these guys are talking about letting them fight it out, but they're all talking. So it's tough. You don't have a whole lot of fighters out there. Where do you stand on it, I guess, is throwing it back to you.
I was very much of the mindset, don't do it on a track, do it in the pits. But Door Bumper Clear changed my mind this week. They pointed out that what does more damage? Noah got punched at Kansas. Noah's jaw was probably sore for, a couple days after that. But that's it.
Yep.
If Noah wrecks Chastain on the track, instead, Chastain loses points. Points matter.
Yes, they do.
So, in the end, if you really want to get your message across, if you really want to damage that guy, you wreck him. You put him in the wall. And yeah, you might sit a week, but maybe it's worth it. Maybe that's what somebody needs to do, is sit a week to prove their point. Joey Logano straightened up after Kenseth took him out.
He certainly did, yeah.
We don't see Joey racing like that anymore. I guess he did it to Byron last year, but he doesn't do it week in and week out.
Right.
So, I don't know. Maybe it's worth sitting a week and wrecking a guy, and there you go. You get your back at it.
Possibly.
I mean, unless you're Denny Hamlin and you suck at it.
Well, Denny's not great at it.
Yeah.
And when he does get payback, finally, he gets a 25-point penalty.
Right.
So,
speaking of that, I wanted to go back to this incident, because Chastain said after the race that he tried to squeeze Larson into the wall and took himself out. So where's Chastain's penalty?
Right.
Because I don't see this as any different than Hamlin.
Hamlin's penalty.
We had two guys out of the race after this one, basically.
Hamlin's penalty is the dumbest penalty in
the
history of the sport.
It
It's
is.
so bad. Thank you for calling that out.
Yeah. Freaking NASCAR and their consistency.
Yep, exactly.
We had a couple penalties resulting from the race weekend as well. Erik Jones, not surprisingly, loses a couple crew members after losing a tire, which caused that multi-car accident during the race. Probably made the race more interesting, but anytime a tire comes off, not cool.
It was a big pile up too.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah.
And then the 45 team, they had a ballast issue in pre-race tech. They've lost 10 points, driver and owner points as a result. Plus they had some penalties. I think they didn't really end up getting penalized at the beginning, right? They made it through tech eventually. I don't think they had to do a pass through or anything like that at the beginning.
Nope. They were able to basically have a normal weekend from there, but penalty. Yeah. After the race, I think Bob was saying expect a penalty no matter what.
Yeah.
After this.
Well, yeah.
Anything
Anything to do with ballast is usually a penalty.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I think there was precedent on this one. We've seen this one before.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was. It was a year ago or a couple years ago. I think it was at Darlington too. There was a ballast penalty. Same thing.
There you go. Anything else with I guess we can run down some people who had good days. Harrison Burton almost gets top 5, finished 6th in this thing. Justin Haley, 8th place finish for him. Who else here? Todd Gilliland continues to run well, almost a top 10, finished in 11th.
Yes.
Just interesting to say the least.
Yeah. I was going to say point out, I know I hinted at this a little bit, but RFK with Brad.
Yeah.
Another great day.
Almost, he was in contention.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
how often have we said that?
Yeah, and we should shout out Kevin Harvick. He was in that wreck. That's another thing we didn't talk about was the positioning of the cars after that wreck. I know Bubba had a gripe.
I have a very strong opinion on this.
Oh, let's hear it, because I was just going to say Kevin Harvick had a really damaged race car and finished second with it. Pretty cool.
The problem isn't NASCAR's consistency with lining up the cars and whether the car was involved in the wreck or not. It's that the cars are indestructible. We've never had this issue before because those cars wouldn't have driven away from that accident. That's where the problem is.
Yep.
If the car is good enough after the wreck to pit and still maintain its position, then it's not wrecked, I guess. So the NASCAR did nothing wrong. in my opinion.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know.
Yep.
These cars need to wreck. I mean, they just, the front ends coming out of these things flawless. It's just silly.
Yep.
But it frustrates me when these cars drive through a wreck like this. It's like when you used to race on easy on the video games, and the damage was visual, but it didn't affect the car.
Yeah.
It's like the iRacing free pass that they gave the drivers during the whatever they were doing during COVID. They could have the 2 full repairs. That's what we have right now with this car.
Yep. Yep, I know. Yeah, and kudos to Kevin Harvick. Like that last restart, I'm pretty sure he knew, if I can just get second here, I'll be very happy. I'm not gonna press this restart, and Bill was able to get way out front. So
Right.
Oh man.
Anything else with the Cup race worth talking about before we move on?
No, that might have been it.
We could. I mean, if we want to run 3 or 4 races at Darlington a year, we can do that, right?
Oh, we did that not too long ago.
Yeah,
Remember?
I think we can do it again. It's a good track.
It's always good. Always good.
Speaking of good, the Xfinity Series race the day before, from bad on Sunday to good on Saturday. Kyle Larson gets his first Darlington win. Been in contention many times, but finally seals the deal with a great last lap battle with John.
What a fantastic race that was.
Just
so good.
All around, this race was excellent. The battle at the end, Larson making the move, Nemechek getting into him, hard racing out of the turn. Nemechek wrecks himself trying to win it or trying to get past him. Both drivers fine with everything the way it turned out. That just quintessential NASCAR, as Brian France would say, right?
Yes, quintessential, exactly. Yes. Yeah, a funny side note from this race. And I think it was Alan Cavana on Twitter tweeted this out. But Larson's pit crew for the Xfinity Series race.
I was
Oh, you saw
here.
this? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. So Ross Chastain's pit crew pitted Kyle Larson's car in the Xfinity Series race,
and Larson gave him the bird at Dover.
Yep. So they didn't go to Victory Lane to celebrate.
Yep, that was good. That was good stuff. I saw that today too.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then of course everything that happened on Sunday happened. So
yep, that's good.
Great stuff. Really good sidebar story.
Which it also was interesting this week that Larson was very complimentary of Ross Chastain. On his
podcast.
Yeah,
I was like, I didn't know. I honest to God didn't know that Kyle had a podcast. Of course, it's still racing, but
yeah.
Said he can be more popular than Chase Elliott. That was another interesting one.
Yeah, and Denny Hamlin said that they might be friends. So I mean,
oh my God.
John Hunter Nemechek finishes 5th backwards.
He was
another questionable call by NASCAR because they didn't throw the caution until he hit the outside wall coming back across the track.
Yeah.
Justin Allgaier gets himself a 2nd place finish with a pretty sweet looking car. I love some of the throwback cars in this race.
Yeah, there's some good ones.
Definitely want to shout out Carson Hocevar, 6th place finish I put in quotes, in his first Xfinity start. This was his 2nd Xfinity start, but the last one was kind of thrown together. So first official planned start for Carson Hocevar. And again, just goes to show you that these guys might look like boneheads in the truck series, but they can come up in here in the Xfinity series and race like real drivers and do well. Yep. So just kind of shows you what a cluster that truck series is right now.
Oh my God. Yeah.
James, did you get a chance to watch all 3 of these races this weekend?
Little bits and pieces of it. I checked in the trucks race just a little bit because I saw that Byron was racing for Kyle Busch again. Yeah. So I was checking. There was a handful. Bubba Wallace was in that race, so I did check that out a little bit. But I have been running around with kids all over the place lately. So
well, there's probably not a whole lot to discuss with the truck race. Christian Eckes gets the win there. But I just wanted to ask you: did you watch enough? Which of the 3 races do you think was the best race this weekend? Did you watch enough to be able to make that determination? Because I'll tell you,
I mean, I really enjoyed the Cup race, and the Xfinity Series had the best finish. So that's tough. But go ahead.
I think the Xfinity Series had the best race all weekend, front to finish, and I think that probably 95% of the race weekends you could say that right now. I will stand by that the Xfinity Series is the best series in NASCAR right now. I wish it was getting more views. I wish more people were seeing it. I really wish that we would just, I mean, I hate to be that guy. I really wish we'd just scrap this next gen car and run Xfinity cars in the Cup Series. And maybe it'd be different because these guys are more experienced than the Xfinity guys. I don't know. But man, they got to drive these Xfinity cars, and it's so much fun to watch them do it. They can pass people. I don't know where in the world anybody thought, let's put a bunch of aerodynamics under the race car, and that'll fix our problem. Because that's what we need is more aerodynamics in our cars.
Yep.
I'm so frustrated with this Cup package right now. And yes, we've gotten some good races. Darlington was a good race. Kansas was a great race. I mean, Kansas, again, was probably one of the best. It was definitely the best race we've seen in this car. Hopefully it's good. I'm really worried that North Wilkesboro this weekend, the Truck Series is going to blow everything away, and the Cup race is going to be follow the leader. But I don't know, man. I know they're working on it. We need to do some work with this next gen car still. I mean,
of course, yeah.
It's frustrating, but I guess we've been on that bandwagon enough, so I won't continue down that road.
Yep.
Anything that you want to mention with the Truck Series before we move on to some news items?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. I just want to look at the results here real quick and see if there's anything that jumps out at me. Kyle Busch Motorsports is a points leader still, driver points. Eckes with the win. Stuart Friesen gets a second place finish. Good run for him. You mentioned William Byron. He finishes fourth. Hocevar got fifth here. Top five for him. Bubba finished seventh. So good run for those guys. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers Darlington. So, we talked about revenge. Alex Bowman says he's not sure when he's going to return to racing. Said he had some tests this week, and that might give us a little bit more of an insight. I know he had a all-star ski or a throwback scheme that he was planning on running this weekend, which he's not going to be able to do for the all-star race. As a matter of fact, his car is not qualified for the all-star race. They have to race in because despite the fact that Bowman has a win, the team win doesn't count towards the qualifying for it. So you can decide whether you think that's appropriate or not.
It's the all-star race, and it's not the all-team all-star race.
Exactly.
You can't put Josh Berry in the all-star race.
I mean, that being said, you qualify based on your pit stop. So, I mean, your qualifying position is based on your pit stop.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yep.
Kurt Busch still wants to race, James.
Yes.
He told AP that he still wants to get back in the car. Said he's feeling better. He's been improving.
Man, it's been so long that he's been dealing with this.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It'd be nice to see him in a car if it can happen. That's for sure. It'd be interesting to see. I'm assuming they'd run a third 2311 car.
Mm-hmm. That's 67 or whatever number they would pick. Yeah.
Yep. So hope it happens, man. I want to see Kurt back in the car. I miss Kurt. It's fun to see him wandering around in the booth and doing the stuff he's doing, but it wasn't time for him to be done yet. So,
well, it's like I always thought Dale Jr.'s retirement was good and sad at the same time. Because he had he's had a terrible run of concussions, and he missed that season, that 2016, second half of the season. And that was such a bummer.
Yeah.
And, but he was able to get it right and come back on his terms, even though he was obviously not the same. He was being a winning driver was kind of done for him.
Right.
At that point, but he was still able to come back and retire on his terms. You see guys like Matt Kenseth, they kind of fizzle in and fizzle out, but they get to pick and choose where they want to retire. And Kurt is deserving of, even if he wants to run like a 10 race schedule, I say the same thing with Jimmy Johnson. Like, Jimmy got to retire on his terms, and now he's doing his own thing. He's kind of doing something different. He can do whatever the heck he wants. But I hate that an injury is what, put an end to Kurt's career. And I hope he gets back out there to do it his way and have him, and he should be celebrated. One of the greats of the sport, 75 greatest drivers. He'll get to be honored in the Hall of Fame eventually, but I'd like to see him on the track a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%. You mentioned drivers, fizzling in and fizzling out. We failed to mention Ryan Newman at Darlington. Finishes 28th after wrecking.
In pain.
Yeah, but not because of the accident, because of the seat. But came in and, I mean, ran a fast lap at qualifying, looked good in practice, and kind of looked like he's been around still. I mean,
Looked like Ryan Newman.
yeah, for that car. I mean, he did
He's
pretty
been
damn
racing.
good.
He
Yeah.
does modifieds, and he did SRX last year, so it's not like he's
Right.
out of the seats. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was good to see him. He didn't look very happy after the
No,
race.
he didn't.
I'm not sure if he was having much fun. But yeah, the car looked good. He looked good. So yeah, it's a good finish for him.
Yep. James, this weekend we head to North Wilkesboro Speedway. The last tweet I saw, it was looking pretty dark. I don't know if we're going to be racing tonight for the late models, but ASA Stars Tour is supposed to race tonight. Cars Tour races tomorrow. Truck Series, Cup Series, Friday, Saturday, Sunday have action going on. The All-Star race is Sunday. The heats for the All-Star race are Saturday. I believe the truck race is Friday. All kinds of fun stuff at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Cup drivers, several of them running late models and or trucks this week. The track was already coming apart a little bit today during ASA practice.
Yeah,
So hopefully that holds
great.
together. A lot of patchwork done. We talked about it at the beginning of this place looks awesome. They had an open house last week. They've got a new LED scoreboard on the inside of the track where the old scoreboard used to be, and I love the fact that they superimposed the old scoreboard image on the new scoreboard, so it looked like the old one still all rotting and parts missing. It was so cool. Turn 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 have one of the old style scoreboards that they have to manually change the top 5 positions. Somebody actually has to stand there and switch them out, which is pretty cool. They've done some good stuff out here. I'm so excited.
Yeah, man, it looks awesome.
I very much believe that we'll be racing a points race here very, very soon. I think this is a test run. And, James, if it wasn't for COVID, none of this would have happened.
It's true.
So COVID gets Dale Jr. to go out there and clean the place off and scan it for iRacing. The COVID money provides the money to fix this place. Without that iRacing scan and the fact in going out there and seeing the condition the track was in, they would have known that they could clean it up and actually hold a race there.
Yep.
They do the revival last year. It's a gigantic success. And now the Cup Series is freaking back at North Wilkesboro. It's just incredible. It's absolutely amazing that this is going on.
Yep.
And like I said, bad weather tonight, but supposed to be good weather this weekend. So hopefully we get some good racing in. And man, I hope that the Cup race is good, but we shall see.
I can't. I don't know. I don't imagine it'll be bad.
Right.
I think it's going to be fantastic.
There should be tire wear. And this place is tight, and they're racing for $1 million and a trophy. What do you think of the trophy, James?
It's strange.
Yeah,
Strange trophy.
that's kind of my thought too.
Yeah.
A little weird, but hey, I guess. Yeah, I think they've done some good stuff. Big round of applause for Marcus Smith and the work that crew has done out there. Just absolutely incredible to see it last year and see how it's changed. Is absolutely awesome. So, we get to make our picks this weekend. We don't need to.
No points on the line.
No points. We can pick whoever we want to pick. Let me pull up the points, by the way. I gained on you again this week, James.
Yes, you beat me again. Dang it, Erik
17 whole points. I'm only 193 behind you now.
Yeah, two. You finished 2 ahead of me last week. 17 this week. You're making progress, man.
I don't think I've ever been happy to see Erik Jones wreck before. Sorry, Erik, but
at least we don't have to make any picks that matter this week. We can just pick, I guess, whoever we want, right?
Yeah, the best part was though I thought that I picked Tyler Reddick this week.
No,
so I was so
gosh.
disappointed that he was involved in crap too. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, and then you had old Chris Bell. He had a
Bell.
decent show. Yeah.
So since I've picked first all season, James, I'm gonna let you pick first for the All-Star race.
Oh, I get to pick first.
Yeah, you get to pick first. Sorry.
Well,
I threw
since there's
that
no
at ya.
points on the line and they don't count against our cap, just give me Kevin Harvick. Because he's going to be racing that 29 car. Let me Kevin Harvick. And
he's running the 29 car. That's cool.
oh yeah, and he's raced here a handful of
That's
times.
true.
So I'll take now a handful of these guys are racing late models this week. I think Brad's out there, Byron's out there, Erik Jones is out there I think too. There's a bunch of guys racing the Harvick's racing the cars race. So yeah, there's a lot of drivers who are going to be getting some laps this week.
Yeah. For me, I am going from the Open to the All-Star win. Corey LaJoie. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm gonna go since there's no points involved. I'm gonna go with the past winner at North Wilkesboro as well, James. A past winner, Chase Elliott is my pick.
Yeah, there you go.
Chase
I
won
forgot.
the late model
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
Blaney raced out there too.
Yes, he did.
I forgot about. Yeah, so yeah, there's a couple of guys who have some experience out there. So yeah, these don't count against their cap, just for fun.
Nope.
Just for fun.
So I mean, I really have no idea where to go for this. There's nothing that you can base anything off of on this pick. It's somebody can race good on a short track, but there's not a short track like this one that we race on. So,
and tire wear, will be a factor, obviously, like you said. So guys who have experience with tire wear, because we don't see that very often anymore.
Yep.
Would be good. So
yeah,
very cool.
Good stuff. How'd fantasy go this week, James?
Well, I thought I did worse because Truex and Ross crashed.
Yeah, you did pretty well, actually.
I finished second somehow. Fast to the Grass was first by 2 points. I was second, and Trey 17 finished third. Mickey Elliott 1 point behind, or 2 point, 1 point behind him. And Byron Speedway, you can't shake him. top 5 for him. Byron is now 25th on the overall leaderboard for the entire thing. I think 25th or 29th, something like that. So that's one thing we're keeping an eye on. He leads our point standings by a bunch. Tandem Draftona second, Mickey Elliott third, and I bumped up to fourth somehow. I'm 1 point ahead of Ranger, and Erik, you are sixth.
There you go. Yeah, a little bit of a backslide this week.
Erik, you are. I know you're hard on yourself when it comes to fantasy, but my God, you are smack dab stuck in that sixth spot.
I feel pretty happy with where I'm at this year.
You're a handful of points out of fourth.
I've still been very inconsistent though. I have good weeks, and then I have really bad weeks. Just can't seem to line up like decent weeks in a row.
Yeah, you're less than 100 points out of third if you think of it that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're not doing terrible, man.
I'm doing better there than I am in our picks points. So,
man. Yeah, fantasy. Ugh.
Any shout outs this week, James?
Oh man, you always put me on the spot with this. I gotta be more prepared.
Do you want me to go first and you can think of it?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, I got two. First of all, the Jeg CRA series, late model series raced at Birch Run Speedway this past weekend.
Yeah, you had a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to shoot photos out there. Chase Berta got the win. Really good race. It was pretty fun. Leaders wrecked midpoint of the race, and Chase was right there. Chase qualified on the pole, but with the invert, I think he ended up starting like fifth. Was able to get the win. So good race out there. This first leg of the Jeg CRA series. First of the Triple Crown at Birch Run. They'll race 2 more times there this season. They race their next race is at Salem in Indiana the first week of June. I am debating, James. Very much debating going down there because I've always wanted to go to Salem and down in Indiana, but it's about a 6.5 hour trip. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger on it or not. But it would be fun. And then they're back in Owasso Speedway, I think, after that. Most of the races are right here in Michigan, so it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, Owasso will be a fun one.
Yeah,
those guys.
Definitely a fun one. They got a weekend of racing in there this weekend too. Had a great car count at Owasso, so that was cool. And then the other shout out, it was brought to my attention today because it was announced today. Kyle Busch going to be racing the Woodtick 100 at Merritt Speedway, Northern Michigan, the weekend of MIS, dirt late model racing for Kyle. So cool to see. KB going to be up here.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Racing around.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
Yep. So, yeah.
Of course, that's
very cool.
The week I'm on vacation.
Is it?
Yes, usually.
SRX too.
Well, yeah,
SRX,
that's the thing.
so.
Yes, SRX is that. Yeah. So yeah, he's racing Berlin too.
He'll be all over Michigan. So.
Yep. I was contemplating. I was very close to. I was like 20 minutes away from Berlin today, and I should have just went over there.
You just call up Jeff Striegel and say, "Hey man, can I do a lap?"
Well, that and let's go out there for the event. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Darn it. Speaking of Owasso Speedway, that's my shout out. I've been meaning to do this. I keep forgetting. Gosh darn it. There was a parade in my hometown a couple weeks ago, and the pace truck for Owasso Speedway was in the parade.
Nice.
So as they were walking by, I was actually chatting with the person who was there kind of one, I guess the marketing person.
Okay.
I was like, you guys are supposed to be racing tomorrow. What the heck are you doing up here? And they go, well, we think it's going to be rained out, but we wanted to promote the track. You know, we're really excited about everything we got
They're
going
doing
on.
some great stuff out there.
New pavement. Yeah. So I said, yeah, I've been keeping it on. You know, I was just kind of chatting with them really briefly. Because the parade had kind of stopped. So it was kind of cool to see the pace truck in front of us. And my daughter got a kick out of it because it has some cool graphics and lights and, you know, that whole thing. But yeah, I was chatting up a little bit. So pretty exciting what they got going on out there. And then second one was Fox Sports. They did a good job. I thought Clint Bowyer was really gentle with Richard Petty in the booth.
Yeah.
That was good.
Kyle picking on his dad was kind of funny.
Yeah, Kyle's good at that. That was good. And then cousin Carl.
Oh, so great to see Carl.
He has not missed a beat when it comes to talking on camera. He is polished as ever, boy.
He was so good. It was so nice to see Carl.
You know, that guy agitated me and thrilled me during his career.
He was really good for the sport.
Oh, he was so good, man. He did some weird stuff, you know. I mentioned earlier with the Brad thing. That was always weird, but man, was he talented. So fast. I mean, he carried those Roush teams on his back for such a long period of time.
Yeah, he did.
And, you know, that debris caution in 2016, the world famous debris caution that he had, dominating that race and probably would have been a champion and maybe would still be racing by now. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if he'd have won the championship that year if he'd have stayed. Well,
the thing with him that year, and I will remember this, I think probably the rest of my life, but David Smith was, you know, I used to, before he started working for Roush, you know, interestingly enough.
Right.
One of his takeaways during that season was Carl Edwards is terrible at restarts. So, of course, we had a late race restart.
Yeah.
And Carl got taken, and I was like, holy crap, David Smith's a genius. So, but yeah, that was, I mean, he could taste it. That was his championship. I mean, so was the year Tony Stewart won. You know,
right.
he had a bunch of close calls, but Carl, man, so good seeing him. I hope, I don't know if, you know, I don't care if he races in Cup again. I'd love to see him get back behind the wheel, something.
I'd love to see him get in a truck.
Yeah, I guess farming's doing good, you know, is good on him. He looks like he hasn't aged a bit.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah, a truck would be good, or even an Xfinity Series car, you know, somewhere would be fun.
Yeah.
But, yeah, cool to see him, man. Casey Kane was out there. I was actually cool seeing him. I haven't seen him in a bit.
Cool deal all around what they did with the 75 drivers honoring them at Darlington.
Yes, it was. Love that.
Your buddy Ernie Irvin was out there too. Mm-hmm. Ernie had some stuff to say about Chastain. He was asked about Chastain. Signing
autographs and doing his thing. Yep.
Yeah, it was really good to see Ernie.
Yep.
But just good to see all those guys. I looked at the picture, the group shot, and I think they had 38 of the top 75 there. So
a driver that will go unnamed was on vacation. I did some digging to figure out why a certain driver did not show up, and I was not taken aback. I guess it's to be expected.
He wasn't driving in a straight line. He was actually on vacation.
He was on. Well, the vacation time is very limited for a certain driver who drives in straight lines, and he was taking full advantage of it.
Yeah.
So I was like, come on, man. You could at least show up for that picture.
Right.
But, oh well. He's already in the Hall of Fame. He doesn't care.
I think the best tweet that I saw, and I guess I didn't research it to make sure it was legit, but based on the humor, it sounds like it was. When Matt Kenseth was announced as the 74th greatest truck, he tweeted out that he was bummed that Jimmy Johnson was snubbed.
Yeah. It was really good.
That was good stuff. So I love Kenseth's sense of humor. It's so funny. So good. So
he's so dry.
Very dry.
So dry.
But that is my style. I love that stuff. So
Yep. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson, they saved the best all time for last.
Yeah, of course. I wonder if he was nervous. Do you think he was nervous?
I don't yeah. Well, I joked with you that Ross was going to get the spot.
Right. Can you imagine?
So, I guess he's the 76th driver.
Yeah, right.
Is Kyle Petty's not in the top 75? I learned that today.
Yeah, well, that's I think fitting.
He wasn't. Yeah, I mean, he only had 8 career wins, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if Kyle's last name wasn't Petty, he wouldn't have. I mean, it's no offense to Kyle. I mean, he's done a good job of keeping himself involved in the series and in the sport. And I'm not going to fault anybody for doing that. He's made a place for himself here, but if his last name wasn't Petty, he wouldn't still be around. So
Yeah, Kyle Petty, 8 career wins in 829 starts.
yeah, William Byron's one away.
Wow. He's already beaten him for wins in the season, too.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it really quick. Kyle, you know what, though? Those Mellow Yellow years were...
Yeah, he had a couple good years.
That was special. Those are special years.
Couple good years. He had a couple good runs.
Yep.
Black flags. I'll start this one out. Seeing as you finished off with Fox, I will give Fox my black flag today. And my reasoning for it is quit showing the moment of caution. It doesn't matter until the last lap. All you're doing is confusing the fans. So-and-so was in the lead at the moment of caution, but we go back to the last loop. At least they showed the scoring loop. You know, we want to fix these issues, James. Let's paint the scoring loops on the track. Why don't we just paint a line on the track where the scoring loops are?
Sure, why not?
I don't understand it. The marks, it's not like it's secret. The marks are there. You can see the cut in the track where they put the loops in. So just paint a damn line there.
Sure. Remember when we had the backstretch halfway mark?
I didn't like that.
Oh, my God.
Well, especially some of the tracks, it wasn't halfway. That whole thing was stupid.
Yeah, that was what a dumb era that was.
Yeah. You got any black flags, James?
Yeah, well, I feel like every week it's the same.
Back to Ross?
No, you know what? Fox fell in love with, I'll give mine to Fox too, because they fell in love with that couple during the race with the Ross shirt and the Larson shirt. And that woman saying, "Let's go home," was such a classic NASCAR fan thing.
See, I can't give him a black flag for that, man. I was invested in that relationship. I wish I'd have gotten a camera on him and followed him to the parking lot.
But you and I know as well as anybody, we never understood it. But when Earnhardt would crash and the fans would just leave, this reminded me of that. I'm like, I guess he does have that in common with Dale. His fans are just going to leave if he's out of contention. So
I've never gone to a race for one driver.
I loved Smoke back in the day, but if he wrecked out in the Daytona 500 and I'd made that trip down there, I was not leaving.
Right.
Sorry.
I mean, I've been more excited about races because certain drivers are in them, but I've never gone to a race for one driver. I never would leave. Hell, even if I had a team in the race, I wouldn't leave, I don't think, until the race was over.
Yep.
I just like racing. That's what I'm there for. So, but I thought it was funny. I like that. Added a little moment to the race, I guess. At least they weren't showing kids. Everybody bitches about them showing kids all the time. They were showing grown-ups.
No, you gotta show the kids that there's, kids at the racetrack for whatever reason. Yep.
James, where can they find you on social media if they want to hit you up during the week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can also find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and Anchor, which I believe is podcasts for Spotify now. I don't know how the hell you find it, but just find it out there. We're where it matters, people. Subscribe for new episodes each week. Wherever you find us today, we hope you subscribe. Continue to listen. And if you go to anchor.fm/thesuperspeedway, you can leave us an audio message, and we might just play it on the show. I've been excited about this weekend ever since last September when it was announced that the Cup Series was coming back to North Wilkesboro Speedway. North Wilkesboro is in action all week long, minus possibly tonight with the rain. We'll be back next week to break down the All-Star race and preview the next race in the lineup. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.